So, anyways, we'll call the meeting to order at whatever time, 6:01 p.m. First item of business is additions or deletions to the agenda. Does anybody have anything? Screen's so far away.
Rich, you're set to add the minutes.
Yes, I have that
before.
note right here and I missed it. Thank you, Bob. So on the bottom under consent agenda, we're gonna add the March 4th, 2024 minutes. Anybody else? Kate, you all good? Chad?
Did we have an email asking from Tracy and Bob asking for an executive session today?
We have one and they felt it would cover it.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Chad, you all set, sir?
Yep.
Mike and Dwight?
Good.
Okay. Meredith, I'm sorry, I forgot to ask you. You're all set to rock and roll?
I'm great, thank you.
Somebody trying to get in,
I'm
I
sorry.
think. Okay, so I'm going to go to members of the public. Dana?
I have nothing for you today, sir, but thanks for checking in.
Oh, thank you for checking up on us. I think that's the only public I see. Deerfield Valley News, you have anything?
I don't think so. Thank you, though.
Okay. Tell your dad a nice article about him in the paper.
Some good articles today in the paper. From
Yeah.
Valley News.
Members of the staff, I'm going to go around what I see on the screen. I see Bridget,
I have nothing, thank you.
and I see Stibe, Helen Stibe, but it doesn't have her name. Oh, there she is. Are you all set, Helen? Okay, thank you. That's it, right? I got everybody? Okay. Nothing from them. So the first thing we got is budget review. So if in your packet there should be the agenda for the annual meeting. So I'm not gonna go through this. I'm just gonna. Did everybody get it with their packet? Is there anybody that doesn't have it? Okay, so Article 1 is to elect the moderator and set a stipend. Article 2 is to elect the clerk and to set a stipend for the clerk and an assistant clerk to be appointed at discretion of the clerk. Article 3, elect a treasurer and to set the stipend for the treasurer. Article 4 is the stipends for the school board. Article 5 is mileage reimbursement to federal rate for the month it occurs in. Article 6 is any surplus from this year's budget would go into the, just go into our excuse me, our general reserve to be used as approved by the voters at a future meeting. I think we got somebody else trying to get in.
Here's Laura.
Donna?
Sorry.
No, that's fine. I just happened to see a blue thing. I can't tell who it is. Article 7 is to approve the sending the annual tuition rate to approved independent schools at $20,966 for the 24-25 school year. And Article 8 is to set the budget at $6,845,217. And I think we've been over the budget a few times. Any questions on Article 8? Article 9, fund the capital reserve in the amount of $400,000 for buildings and $40,000 for transportation, with 50% coming from the general reserve and 50% coming from raising taxes. Cool. Article 10 is to withdraw $200,000 from money in the reserve fund to offset the homestead tax rate. And just so you all know, and I've got a copy of it here, but I can't give it to you all out there. So I have the run for the for the taxes.
Oh,
So basically, if Article 9 and 10 on the warning pass as written, the increase in the estimated tax rate is less than 1 cent. So even though we're funding $440,000 by moving $200,000, it increases the, well, I'm going to talk about tax rates. We got to compare the right tax rates. So it goes, well, this makes no sense. 14,137 to $1.49. So Dover would go from $2.127 from $2.121, and Wardsboro would go from $1.487 to $1.491. So it's about a 0.6 cent increase in Dover, and it's about a 0.4 cent increase in Wardsboro. So not too bad. I'll have to get this sent out. I thought we were going to get it from the business office, and we didn't. She sent one to me to look at for the warning, so I will make sure we get that out. So Article 11 is any other business may legally be addressed, and we had a couple, 3 things. The website update, Chad, I hope you're going to be able to speak to that for us.
You bet.
Thank you, buddy. And then school construction repairs versus new future school construction aid. This was something Laura had brought up. Is there going to be any aid available? And then research bonding to accomplish several building projects. And this came out of our last meeting at the end of March, because we thought with the cost of everything going up, so the increases are pretty high inflation-wise, that maybe it would make sense to bond, and not for a new building or anything, but just to bond to kind of get caught up on 4 or 5 projects, so we're not in a continuous state of construction. Let our teachers and administrators be educators, not construction supervisors. And then Article 12 is the elections, which everybody remembers that the elections are on Monday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And we have to be there an hour early at the annual meeting to count votes. But not Dwight and I, because we're running, so we don't get to count votes.
Bring my own, yeah.
So, are there any questions? Those are the articles. I think it worked out pretty well. I think it was a good collaborative effort on everybody's part. I know it got kind of confusing for a little bit, but
That's good.
okay, cool. I went over the tax rates, but I have them. Unfortunately, I can't. I don't even know if we could. There's really no way to share them with everybody. I have paper copies of the tax rate. We'll have to get that out. We can discuss that at our next
I
meeting,
can work on it if you want.
which is under.
I can scan it to me and send it to them. Do you want me to?
Or can you scan it to yourself and
Yeah.
then put it up on the screen?
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
Why don't we do that? Is that okay with you guys?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to skip over tax rates for a couple minutes, just so that Donna's going to go scan it to herself so that she can put it up on the screen. Review of the capital plan. We went over it last time. I think we're going to sit on that because Greg will, if we get a bunch of questions on the capital, we'll ask Greg to come in and speak. I think Greg was supposed to be looking into the numbers that we have, and I think he was talking to some people about the roofs. I have nothing else on the capital plan. So while Donna's doing that, let's skip down old business. I believe, Bob, PCB, aren't they doing the testing come vacation in a couple weeks?
I believe, does that sound right, Tracy, in Dover? Is that?
We're all done.
Oh, they
You're
did
done,
the
yeah.
testing.
I thought it was done. Yeah.
Okay, so that all went well, and all the parties showed up, and
No, Monsanto didn't show up.
So we jumped through hoops just for them, and then they didn't show up.
Correct.
Cool.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's always wonderful.
And
But
I
I guess-
believe the other good news, though, is that both buildings cleared the radon
Yes.
test.
Donna's agreeing. Tracy,
We
you're
did.
building too, huh?
That's good.
Well,
That's
I
it.
guess what, 2 out of 3 isn't bad. Okay. And then we have the Dover roof without Greg. I'm not sure where he stands, but I also think we got to wait a little bit to see what happens at the school district meeting. Website update. I know, Chad, we were working on a couple things, and then I know there was a couple issues. A couple people tried to get online, and Bob, I think some of that went to you also. So
Yeah, we get IT involved, and Chad had some communication with Edgeworks as well. To be honest, I'm not sure where that sits right this moment. I think people were looking into some stuff. Is that right, Chad?
Yeah, as far as I know, and I'm still a little perplexed about the online availability or lack thereof by some. Because as we speak, I just pulled it right back up. We may have had a couple pages that have dead links for some reason, but yeah, I'm a little bit perplexed, Bob, to be honest with you.
Yeah, some of it I think was particulars around formatting and things like that had been raised about email addresses being listed and things like that versus having more broad links to things.
Yeah, and with that, again, that caught me off guard too, because I do see that at the very bottom of the page, it is my not my personal, but my board address. Because I've gotten some odd emails, I thought, where did these come from? And just assumed that they were spam going to everybody. Because we did not finalize amongst the board what we were going to do as far as, an info at Wyndham Central Board and who would field that one. Though everyone's email address is listed underneath the board membership under the district home. If you go to the board drop down and then board members, everyone is listed with their individual board address. Tongue in cheek, Rich, we know you're not receiving that particular one. So, I guess we can have a quick discussion as to what we need to do, about who's going to field those.
Yeah, I guess that's the part that I was confused between IT and Edgeworks. I thought we were going to get here's what you do, but we didn't really get that. So I can push a little further on that email thread. I have to dig that back up, but I can push back and be like, okay, so what's the answer, right?
Right. Well, I think, it also comes down to, what the board wants. Are we going to appoint a particular member to field, be that point of contact for the individual, reach outs that come? Rich, I don't know. Well, how do you want to weigh in on that?
It's not my choice. It's everybody's. But before we get into that, I do know that Mike was showing me at the last meeting. He tried to get on the website, and it took you somewhere really weird.
Yeah, remember the page was blocked.
So I thought I sent that to you, Chad. Did you not get that?
No, I did not.
Okay, because Mike actually took.
Oh yeah, I screenshot. Yeah, the Fisher Elementary thing that I mentioned. I found it again.
By
So,
going to
What was the
River
web
Valley.
address that you plugged in?
Ours. Because in the screenshot it says Miss Gamache right above it, like above the blurb. So I know it was ours.
So you clicked on it and it took you to a different page. Okay.
Again, I'm the worst person to ask, but I literally took a picture of it.
Okay.
That's the only way I can prove it, because I probably can't find it again.
Oh, okay.
But I
And so,
don't-
just
yeah,
real
I
quick,
don't. Sorry.
Mike, did you, what was it like? Did you search in Google or did you?
No, it was through the website.
RVUSD.net?
Yeah, it was through the website. I kind of navigated my way through it, but it might not be a website thing. It might be possibly like a Dover handbook thing, or that was kinda
it
uploaded.
talks about health services, communicable diseases. It mentions Mrs. Gamache
Yeah.
weekly newsletter, but then under concussions, it says although Fisher Elementary does not offer a youth sports program. So it could just be a typo
So
too.
what's the web address that you're seeing on top there?
I can't. I'm just
Yeah.
seeing what he sent me.
Yeah, it was a screenshot off my phone.
Meredith has her hand up.
Oh, go ahead, Meredith.
It's also, There's 3 different Dover websites. When you type it into Google, there's the old website, the new website, and the Town of Dover site page that has the school page for the Town of Dover. So Google, it needs to be fixed.
Well, I think Google's way beyond being fixed. It's way too big, isn't it?
You have to submit something and tell them and fix it in some way, I think, or delete the site. I don't remember exactly I don't know who's responsible, but I just wanted to make sure that it was.
Chad, we just sent it to you.
Okay.
Okay, so again, we're right in Mikey and my wheelhouse here, so I mean, we could go fix Google, but I don't know if they're gonna like it.
We should probably take down the old site.
Okay, how do we do that, Bob?
So we need to hire somebody to help us kind of just point whatever is there to the just to tie that up. I'm going to say the wrong things, but there's a URL, an existing URL that goes to the old site. So that existing URL should point to the new site. We should take down the old site. We're going to need to hire somebody to do that. So.
You interested, Mike?
Yeah.
You interested, Dwight?
I'm not, but I'm wondering if the organization we work to help us design the site could help us to remove the old site.
Chad, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Between now and next meeting, can you talk to Edgeworks and see if that's something they can do to help us?
Yeah, I see, because I just did a quick Dover School Vermont Google search, and the first one that came up was doververmont.com/Dover School. So that's the town's website with a link to the school. The second one is the site's google.com, which is the old. And that comes up twice before we get to RVUSD. So, yep. And I'm going to look for... You emailed the screenshot again?
No, we messaged it.
Email.
Oh, you emailed it to him?
Emailed it.
Okay, I don't know. I couldn't do it. I couldn't make it do anything.
He's got it.
So close, buddy.
I was.
Hey,
the other thing too, if Edgeworks can't do it, Meredith. Hey, Meredith. Is that something? Can you fix Google?
No, it needs to be done by whoever owns the URL, and then maybe the town one can be taken down because it's kind of not. If our site is good enough to.
Well, we would want to just make sure the town links to the new site, not the old one.
Right.
Right.
Okay, I can handle that. I'll take care of that one. I can make a phone call. I know who does the town's website.
They both just need to be redirected.
Redirect it. Okay.
I'm looking at that link that you're talking about, Meredith, that says doverschool.net, and when you click on it, it does take you to the new site. So when you're looking at the Google listing and it says doverschool.net, when you go to click on it, it does take you to the Edgeworks site.
Interesting.
You can screenshot it and do all that.
Took me 5 minutes to learn how to screenshot something.
You did a good job.
I thought I did.
Came out good now, yeah.
Okay, so I guess here, Chad, do me a favor. Why don't you find out what we need to do, and if that's something Edgeworks can do. If they can't, Bob, will you be able to find somebody who can do whatever we need done?
Yeah, I guess if the Google site was owned by the school's domain, then IT should be able to deal with that part.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Right.
So can I leave this in Bob and in Chad's very capable hands?
Yeah.
I'm making it hard for Bob to say no.
You can't say no.
Chad, you're easy. Bob is a little tougher to
Can't say
deal
no.
with sometimes.
Can't say no.
He's got a couple other things going on too. Not like the rest of us don't, but
We'll get on it.
He's got a lot of people under him. Okay, so on the website for next time, Kate, we want to just check to. I guess we want to make sure that the old sites redirect. Is that my takeaway from this? And then any old sites that are outdated go away. Okay.
Yeah, we want to just check in on the links and make sure all the pathways are pointing to things. And then I'll send you over what Meredith just sent over to me too. And we'll make sure that we get everything tidied up. So tidy up.
The ones that she found.
Links. Yep.
Okay, good. Well, you know what? Make sure we send that to Chad and Bob. Have your people send it to our people. Okay, is that pretty much good for technology? Web update? Bob's smiling, a big smile, I think. I can't see that far without my glasses. Can you put the tax rate up? Or not?
Let's see. So I'm going to have to share my screen. Is this all right to do? So, I don't know. Somebody have to give me access to share if it wasn't created by me, this website.
No, you can share your screen.
You should be able to share, yeah. You just have to pull it up somewhere. You have to have it open, the file.
Right, one participant, that's me. I'm gonna just take everybody out. And then I'm just gonna go on to my email. And here we go.
There it is.
There it is.
So can you get, can
Now
they
go
see
back
that?
and
No,
share
you
it.
have to go back and then
Go back to it and share it. Boom. Should be right there. Would it be the desktop?
It might be Chrome
Right here?
because it's still on Chrome. It's still.
Do I have to go to, it's on basic, should I go, no, it's advanced.
Just click on that and see what happens.
Open system.
I don't know if that's it.
Oh.
Want me to try it?
That doesn't look right.
You know what?
The desktop one.
Yeah, let's. Okay, folks, we're not gonna be able to share this. Can you email to Bob?
Yeah.
Bob, if we send
Mama,
it to
you
you.
can email it to me and I can probably share it.
Okay, can you do that? Email to both of them. One of them will be able to. We'll let you go first, Tracy. So, anyways, while that's happening again, on the policy update on investment policy draft. So, there was some question is, I guess VSBA took away their model policy on investments, Bob. So you checked in with VSBA. Can you kind of summarize that for us? I know we have a memo from them, an email.
Yeah, they basically said that they don't have this as one of their models anymore, and that they advised that if we want to have one, I sent the one that you guys have in draft form, which was the SU one, which is older, 2011, I think. And they said, yeah, that's a policy. You should run it by your attorney. So VSBA was not super helpful as far as this particular one. It's not something that they support in the sense that they would give us feedback on it because they don't have it as one of their models. And it's not based on one of their models. So I guess it depends on how far down the road you guys want to go. If you want to have a policy to govern your potential investments, then you probably should. We probably should throw it at the attorney to see what they say. But before I incurred that cost, I wanted to come back and put it back to you guys and see what you thought. I know it's making it delay a little bit longer, but felt that it was important to have you guys weigh in on whether it's worth putting it to the attorney to see whether or not the language is correct. But yeah, anyways, so that's where we're at.
So,
but it is the exact same one that the SU has with all the names and change to protect the innocent.
Okay, Kate, did you get a chance to look at it?
I did take a chance to look at it. I think part of why we were pushing forward to take a policy is, didn't Lori say that one of the institutions she was working with was questioning whether or not we had a policy? Like, I think we should loop Lori in and make sure we have what the business office needs.
Well, and Lori was good with us utilizing the WCSU policy for the time being. Wasn't that the result of that conversation with Lori?
I mean, she felt that it was important that if we had a policy that you were using to follow, that if the bank would accept the SUs as sort of the umbrella for the organization, then that could be fine, if the bank would accept it.
Go ahead.
I think I asked that question at the last meeting. Lori didn't think that the banks were necessarily the ones who would need the policy.
No, the auditors.
The auditor may. But getting back to what Bob was saying about the attorney, I think it's a good idea. I know it delays the process a little bit, but we want to make sure we dot all our I's, cross all our T's, and make sure it's a sound policy, and that we can't be if something were to go wrong or anything like that, we're not held liable in any way.
Rich, I had a quick question on that.
Oh, go ahead, Chad.
And it was just, again, it's minor, it might be minutiae, but throughout that policy, we're referred to as the RVSD, without a notification that, from here forth, RVSD will refer, are we the unified school district? I think that's got to be something, that is systematic throughout our language in all documents. If our short form is RVUSD or RVSD, like Dwight's saying, we don't want anything minor to come back and bite us in the end. So just something to think about. Overall, I think the policy that was submitted, it makes a lot of sense. It's well thought out. It lays out that, our treasurer and those who are in charge of and have the responsibility to direct our funds for investing purposes, do not develop any conflict of interest for personal matters. And I think that's very healthy. And again, being able to have a good conversation with Marco, I think, he truly understands that aspect of it. And so I'm glad to see that as part and parcel.
Okay. Kate or Laura, you guys have any thoughts or comments? Yeah. As soon as we get off.
On the investment policy,
Yes, Laura.
we can't use our existing one.
We don't have one. That's the problem. And
Okay.
we were going to adopt River Valley. We were going to adopt Wyndham Central's. And then we asked Bob to check with, I asked Bob to just check with VSBA, and, they kind of didn't even answer our question. They went off on a tangent about establishing reserve funds. And
Yeah, that's a big no-no at the state level these days. Just heads up.
what's that?
Everybody's looking for the reserve funds. So I'm sure that's why. And I am quite aware that it's been a common practice since I've been on the board, and it's how we maintain stable rates. But it's a process that people are frustrated by at the state level, and I don't know to what extent it's being used. So my guess is that's why VSBA doesn't have the model policy. If the Wyndham Regional if the Wyndham Central has policy, it's just River Valley has it.
Well, that's what we did, but then it was suggested that we maybe have the attorney review it by both VSBA and a concerned citizen who contacted us.
Okay, well, it's probably a good idea. Let's
Okay.
just have an attorney review the policy. It's probably a good idea.
Kate, any other thoughts or comments?
I think it feels safe to have the attorney review it.
You two okay? Go
I
ahead.
have one more question. If I can direct that, Chad, you said you mentioned you talked to Marco. In reading the first paragraph, it appears that we're giving the treasurer the authority to invest the funds, solely the treasurer. Am I reading that correctly? And does Marco feel comfortable having that authority to do that?
Well, he's had it, and that's what's kind of interesting, Dwight, is that, he kicked it back to Lori a little bit, that they would be working together on this. Again, because that was one of my first questions is, why is it the treasurer of the town that's responsible for our, investments, who may not be dealing with the budget, on a daily basis. It does give us sort of an independent member, who, essentially we're making the treasurer of the town of Dover the fiduciary.
No, hey,
He's our treasurer, yeah.
wait, hang on a second.
He's our treasurer, right?
Yeah. Marco is the River Valley's Unified School District's treasurer, duly elected at our last annual meeting.
Okay.
So he's also the town of Dover treasurer, but he does have the position of River Valley's Unified Treasurer. And just for some historical background, back in the olden days, back when we had a part-time business manager for Wyndham Central who was a full-time business manager for Leland and Gray, same person, and then his company did some accounting for different places. Marlboro and Dover had their town treasurer be elected the school district treasurer, but for like towns in Newfane, all those towns, the Wyndham Central financial person was their treasurer. When we combined, and Wardsboro was utilizing Wyndham Central, so when we combined, it made a lot of sense with the way things have changed a lot to have for us all to go under Wyndham Central, because it's quite a project, as you see when Lori works on budgets and does financials with us. So that's why I think it bounced around a little bit. So each town treasurer gets the money from the state to deposit, and then they in turn turn it over to, all the town money comes into the school district treasurer, and then the school district treasurer works with the with the Wyndham Central chief financial officer. So maybe that's a really good point, Chad. Maybe we should take a step back, and maybe we should meet with both Marco as the River Valley Unified Treasurer and Lori as the chief financial officer for Wyndham Central, and just clarify those roles. So I think so everybody's comfortable. Is everybody comfortable with how it works?
Yeah, maybe I don't. Thanks for explaining that, Rich. I'm wondering if there should be some kind of check on this, and should the treasurer recommend to either us or for approval of investment.
And so in the old days, Mary Lou would come to the board, or she would talk to me, tell me what she was doing, and then I would bring it to the board to get rubber stamped.
That's what I would.
Because I'm not going to, because again, it's not like the Wild West, and we're not going to go invest in Enron or something.
Well, right, but I'm wondering also if Marco may not want that kind
but
of
I think he
responsibility.
takes that on as being elected as district treasurer.
Investments or just putting it?
He should.
Okay.
That's really their job. That's what the school treasurer always did for us, at least in Dover in the past.
Okay.
So,
and I think it's important to note too, in talking with him and making an introduction, to a member of the bank staff that, works with the municipalities and not-for-profits, as I mentioned, like BBA and managing endowment funds, we're not looking to, or actually they are not looking to, heavy, very high risk-based securities. Because it doesn't suit our mission in any way, shape, or form. What they're looking for is the conservative investments that have a guaranteed rate of return. So, we might be sacrificing the opportunity to earn 10% in 3 months, but by taking, say, a 4% CD in the short term, but that protects the principal, and that's what's most important. And my conversations with both Lori and Marco, I got the sense that they absolutely understand that. Marco's previous experience on Wall Street really fell into that category. So I can say I've got complete faith in him at the moment to look out for what's in the best financial interest of the school district and maintaining that principle and taking opportunities to earn some more money on those funds that we're not using in the immediacy.
Okay, are you set? Laura, you got your hand up, so go ahead.
Yeah. So remind me what Lori said about all of this, because Lori does our investments now, right?
No, that was the problem, is nobody was really doing any looking into investments. And that was Chad's point when we were looking at budgets.
So I
So-
thought that Lori reported like interest that we had earned.
Right, because she
in
gets
our
that.
reserve funds.
Right, but she gets that from Marco. So that's why I think I think it would be really good, Laura, to have this conversation with the two of them when they're both back.
Yeah, I do as well. And to have the policy like looked over with an attorney probably after we talk to them, and then yeah.
And then look at it like Dwight was saying, because or Chad, I think you said, it's really not consistent. It says River Valley. I've always said River Valley because I can't ever remember the unified portion, and it's just easier sometimes. But we want to make sure that on an official policy we have the wording correct. So I think there's a few things we need to do. So why don't we table this if everybody's okay with that? And let's, Kate, we'll put this on the next agenda. We'll move it up to the top, and we'll ask Marco and Lori to attend. I don't remember Marco coming to the meeting when we first discussed this, did he?
No.
Yeah. So we'll ask Marco to attend. And again, I think what Chad's saying is, we're looking for something safe. So I usually, in the municipality side, I remember when the Vermont National came up with the sweep account, and it was, we got a lot better interest than just in leaving it in the bank. But it was actually competitive with CDs, but now CDs, you can get a percentage or two more. Mm-hmm. And again, we're not talking about like $10,000. I mean, we had $1 million in reserve. So if we don't need them for 6 months, can we maybe make another $10,000 or $20,000 and we bought a playground, or half a playground.
That's right.
So I think, Chad, it was a good thing you brought up. I think we just got to do a little bit more homework if everybody's okay. Laura, are you good? Is your hand still up? Okay. Okay, so I think Tracy, you got it. The tax rates.
Oh, right.
Here they come.
Exciting.
So remember, the top 3 lines is year-over-year budget increase. So we're looking at a 4.78% budget increase, the top line all the way on the right, which isn't bad. But when you look at offsetting revenues, those are the other than the block grant or the basic support grant, we're down 55.98%. We've lost $260,000. So our year-over-year education spending still isn't really that bad. It's 9.47%, which is your third line down. But one of the things that really hurts us, so if you look at the next sentence, it's potential unified taxing. Now remember, the legislature still hasn't set the yield and all their stuff. That usually gets done in what I think Laura calls the big bill. And that comes out of Ways and Means instead of like the ed section. So before the CLA, we're looking at a
Richard.
Go ahead.
I think you need to slow down a little bit for the folks that are watching this and explain some terms like CLA and other things.
Yeah, I haven't gotten that far yet, but hang on. So potential unified tax rate. So in 24, it was $1.46 and $1.4650. They're looking at the numbers this year. You would see it go to $1.5023, which is a 4-cent increase or 2.54%. Then we have to figure out. I'm going to skip over the weighted average and the cost per pupil because that sets your base tax rate. So then there's this wonderful thing called a common level of appraisal. So some people up in Montpelier that crunch numbers, or Waterbury or whatever state complex they're in, they look at the sales over the past year compared to the grand list. So that third section down, it shows Dover and Wardsboro split, because remember, up top we're talking a unified rate. That's if we were all just one big community and we didn't tax separately. So if you look last year, Dover CLA, which she's got kind of right there, is 81.34%. So they said that all our houses or all our property in Dover was undervalued by about 19%. And in Wardsboro, they were overvalued by about 3.5%. This year, Dover's dropped down almost a full 11%. So they're saying this year for FY25, the CLA for Dover is at 70, little close to 71%, and Wardsboro, you're still in really good shape. You're at 101%. So it's quite a variance in Dover. It's almost a 10% variance. So when you take last year's tax rate with the 81 CLA and apply this year's CLA, Dover goes up 32 cents and Wardsboro goes up around 7 cents. If the CLAs were the same, obviously it wouldn't be that big a change. And then on the bottom, I have Article 9 and 10 on the warnings. Passes written increase in estimated taxes less than 0.1%. That's the one where we're going to fund the capital projects and move a couple $100,000 out of the reserves to offset. So we're moving close again, $440,000, and it's going to increase the tax rate less than a penny for both towns. So that's your tax rates, but again, it's not set in stone. It won't be set in stone until the legislature passes their budgets. So does anybody have any questions?
Rich, just want to add one thing to what you said. The decrease in the offsetting revenue is made up in the increase in the long-term weighted ADM. My assumption is that you had a small schools grant that went away as part of that. And so the increase in the long-term weighted ADM, as part of that, is due to the weighting of students based on rurality and scarcity, as well as other things. But those factors in and of itself would offset that lost revenue. That's why that's one's up, one's down. That's the reason. It's the new weighting formula.
Well, also the yield's quite a bit different too. Last year the yield was a lot higher than the suggested yield this year, but again, the yield isn't set in stone yet. I wonder why she didn't have the yield for 24.
Yeah, one of the things to remember is that both the state and we have been buying down the tax rate for a long time, and that actually insulates us from having to make hard choices. And the state is kind of out of money for buying down the rates, and the shift to the weights, we still are providing a cushion for the largest districts that are losing weighted pupils. So we're all carrying that.
And we will for 5 years, I think, under that plan, won't we?
I believe so, yes, but it's significantly less than the original plan.
The other thing people forget too a lot is that I don't know what the numbers is in Wardsboro, but it's over 90% in Dover pay based on homestead, pay based on income, not on property value. But again, your per pupil expenditures does affect, just like it affects the base tax rate. It also does affect the percentage that you'll pay of your income. It doesn't have as a big a move. I think it's 2%, 2 to 3%. And even if you went way over your per pupil spending, the percentage doesn't double. It adds. And we should, you know what? I'm going to ask if we can get those figures too. Percentage for income sensitivity. So, is there any questions on the tax rate? Lori's back next week, right, Bob? Okay. Let's see if we can get those numbers.
You good for Tracy taking that down?
Tracy, thank you for helping us. I'll be over tomorrow. I got lots of stuff on my computer to straighten out too, okay? Moving on then, I think, does anybody else have any old business? Cool, let's move into new business. We're gonna let Tracy go first because you're almost like a visitor on the screen. Anything other than any principal's report to update?
Not that I can think of.
Cool. Anybody got any questions for Tracy? You skated pretty easy, Tracy.
Wow.
Donna, you're next.
All right. Besides the report, there's a whopping 1,953 worms in our hallway that represent 15 minutes of reading per each student. So our goal has far surpassed. It was in 300. And really happy our Wardsboro School Club put this event on. It kind of got everybody interested in reading this month. And we ended it with a book fair. So that was a fun event.
That's it.
Yeah.
Any questions for Donna? Go ahead, Chad. Sorry.
So, Don, I've got two. You had listed radon and the financial efficiencies on the report.
Yes.
And I'm also wondering if you can comment on the nutritional changes note that you sent home to the Wardsboro families as well.
Sure. So we did talk about radon testing. So we're in the clear here at Wardsboro. We're all good to go.
I'm just wondering why that was you mentioned that under financial efficiency.
Oh,
It would have been expensive if we weren't in the clear.
I'm not sure why I put it there. That's a good question. Maybe it should have gone in safe and healthy schools. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it led to a good segue. You know, as I mentioned when we first talked about radon testing a few weeks ago, that the initial number that was shared with us, I was a little leery of, you know, that Dover was going to be 10 times the cost of Wardsboro, and it didn't make sense. And unfortunately, I was a little slow on, you know, I didn't have time off from work until last Thursday, and I did reach out. And, you know, obviously the testing has already been done, but it seems that the quote for Wardsboro was pretty on point. But what we ended up paying for Dover, if it was the full invoice of what Greg had mentioned, you know, in the motion that we passed, it was nearly 6 times the amount of what one of the companies that I've spoken with suggested should be the cost to do testing at Dover Elementary School. So,
Chad, just to answer, I did, since you shared that quote with me, I did give it to Greg, and he ended up having some conversations with that company today. And he found out, and it's probably better if you two connect because he can talk you through the differences, but they were not apples and apples. There was quite a few differences in what the work that he had done and what that company was proposing. And so anyways, just to tell you that it wasn't exactly an apple for apple comparison, but I think if you wanted to reach out to Greg in an email, I'm sure he could explain in more detail for you. And he did say that, you know, it's possible he would have found someplace less expensive. But obviously the timeliness of doing it prior to the end of the heating season, which of course now with a snowstorm coming that apparently is going to go on for a while. But he did have 2 people he reached out to. One of them didn't get back, and so he went with the other one. So that's how we ended up with that particular purchase. But yeah, the company that you had shared with us was not one of the ones he had never heard of them. He did reach out to them and had a good back and forth with them about the specifics. So
We also brought this up. Didn't we have this discussion with Greg before when we said it seemed kind of high and the company he was using has done other schools and has had experience there? I remember a discussion on
I
this.
think there was a timeline too.
Yeah.
Yes.
well, yeah, I mean, the discussion was definitely quick. I went and reviewed, you know, the minutes because, again, seeing that right away, you know, I did raise the question as to, you know, what the cost was, you know, understanding it's not just like picking up a home-based test at Home Depot. And, you know, I asked the question if we had, you know, gotten multiple quotes, and the answer was no. So, you know, as Bob just alluded to, you know, a couple of phone calls were made. You know, obviously we can't force people to call us back. And also the project scope was below, as it turned out, regardless, was below the threshold that we're required to do proposal bids. But nonetheless, I think, we need to be reminded that, the money that we are spending doesn't belong to us solely. We need to really uphold the financial mission and, do our due diligence and make sure that we do have minimum of three accurate quotes to really assess, the value that we're getting, for the money and really understanding the process. And I felt, honestly, that we did push along, again, because the timeline, Mike, just like you said, and Bob, with the heating season, that it did need to be done sooner than later, and while the heating systems were operational. But again, I just think we need to make sure we make the right steps to protect the interests, especially when we've been talking quite a bit about the capital budget that we have, coming up, in the near future for all of our buildings. And noting also that I think it's since 2008 that statewide, and Laura, you might be able to speak more on this, the moratorium on construction and maintenance support from the state, that hasn't ended as far as I'm aware. So that has, I think we've done a very good job about not deferring until we might get state aid to help with some of our capital projects. And I think, we are going to be in better shape if we continue to service ourselves as much as we can. But we just need to make sure we take the steps to, suss out the best financial pricing for the projects that we need.
Okay, any other, Laura, you got your hand up? Is that an old hand?
It's an old hand.
Laura? Okay. Anybody else, any comments? Kate, you good?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thanks,
Can you hear me, Richard?
I can now, couldn't before.
Okay. I'm not sure that I understood Chad's comment there. Was there a question? Or...
No, his comment was he feels that we should, as it's not our money, we should look for the best deals and make sure that we're checking the pricing and not just taking a company because they actually showed up. And that, especially with all the projects we've got going on, that, we kind of really pay attention. I guess the old Ben Franklin saying, watch your pennies and your dollars will take care of themselves. Good summary, Chad? Close enough?
Yeah, and just, the point in bringing Laura into this was that, there had been, what I read in the VSBI newsletter, that there has been a moratorium on state-supported construction spending within the schools since 2008. So, if that's still in place, a lot of schools are in dire need now because they have not budgeted well to take care of themselves. And I believe that we really have done a decent job of that, since the merger. And that we can't just rely on schools and spend kind of willy-nilly just because the state might at some point bail us out.
Yeah, so we still don't have, it's the moratorium since 2008. If Bob's still there, he could check me on the number. I think it's $6 billion in improvements that are estimated for schools. I guess I'm still not sure what your point is, Chad. If your point is that we need to be careful about our fiscal policy, because I feel like we are pretty careful. So that's why I keep asking, because I feel like I'm missing some point.
Well, just that Chad was able to find a cheaper price, and although it wasn't the same, we didn't have any pricing. When we asked last time about the testing, he didn't get any other pricing. He just went with the one company. So Chad would just like to, for the radon testing. So Chad just wanted to make sure, we try to get other prices, and we should try to get three. I know Dwight could probably tell you, it used to be
it's pretty difficult to do.
Yeah, we could get several numbers on anything we want to do, 10 or 15 years ago. Yeah. Now we're lucky if we get anybody who'll even do the work, no matter what, and they get to they get to set their own price. But it's a good conversation. I mean, there's some other stuff I've noticed on the financials. I've questioned at Wyndham Central, and it's not huge money. It's it's small dollars, but again, the small dollars, the small dollars add up.
Yeah, okay, great. I think it's, okay, great.
I don't think we're gonna find a roof out there though. I don't know. Maybe. Chad, are you all good, sir? Oh, you're muted, Chad.
Yeah, small dollars, I get it. I got an updated quote from you. I didn't even ask for a quote. I was just trying to get, a feel for testing. And I mean, an updated quote came into my box today, my email, and it was $11,000 different. So,
I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying that,
Oh, I know.
several of those, may add up to a portion of a roof, or a
Yeah.
playground.
Yep.
Yes, I would agree. And I would also say, we have not really looked at any significant budget cuts either. So, thanks.
Okay. We all ready to move on? Okay, so I think we're all good with principals' reports.
Question to the principal was about the nutritional newsletter that came home to the Wardsboro side.
Sure. So, temporarily, we are navigating a situation that is hopefully short-lived termed, Chad. There's been some changes because of staffing, and so the hot breakfast is on a hold. We'll have some food that they've had before when we did the grab and go breakfast in the morning. They'll have fruit. They'll have either the banana bread. There was a bar, a banana nut seed bar. They're having tomorrow. Today was cereal. So, sorry for the inconvenience, but we just had to make some changes, and so that is the breakfast. And then lunch will be delivered through the clamshells again. We won't be heating here at the school. So again, just a quick change because of staffing, and we hope to get an applicant to the position and move forward to the system that we had began.
And in the old days, we used to have 20 or 30 applicants for a position.
Oh.
Now we have 30 positions for each applicant.
So, Donna, real quick, how does that change the nutrition of the lunch in the clamshell? I'm not sure, what comes in those versus, because you mentioned that the fruit and salad bar won't be available at lunch at this point with the clamshells going on.
Correct.
So do we still maintain the nutritional values that are expected and or required?
My understanding with working with Greg Frost and Donna Albin and Shane, who is still our food manager, is that they will be the nutritional.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the difference, Chad, just to answer the question, I think the difference is that they're just prepared at Dover and transport like they had been to start the year, rather than having them freshly prepared at Wardsboro.
Are you good, Chad?
Yep, thank you.
Okay.
Shane.
What?
Shane.
Shane what?
Never mind. She just popped on.
Okay. So anyways, Superintendent, go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, so you, I know it's just sent out today, it's April 1st, but you did get my cabinet report today. And I would just highlight one thing from that. We are closing in on the interview process with the Director of Finance, which is based on the conversations you guys have had tonight. It's kind of a big deal. It's a really important position. So we had asked the SU board's request for a couple of SU board members to be interested in serving on that hiring committee. If there's any SU voting members in this group, feel free to let Rich know that you're interested, and he can get that information to us. So that's kind of the main takeaway for today. But Lori's on vacation this week, so we don't have a lot more information on that for you on that part. Other than that, we're rolling ahead, getting ready for the final final budget vote with you guys. I guess Wyndham has to redo theirs, but you guys will be the last one, and hopefully you go the way of Stratton, Marlboro, and West River, which all passed. So.
Cool. Any questions for the superintendent? Go ahead.
How'd the job fair go?
Yeah. That's what I was
Oh, you guys
right,
missed
yeah.
that.
So the job fair was interesting. There were districts and supervisory unions from pretty much all over the state, and I would say that the number of people at the tables trying to fill jobs outnumbered the number of people in the gym looking for jobs, which was concerning, but I guess not overly surprising. It's the first time they've done it, and the market is tough. So. There was at one point where these two young women were walking around together and walked by our table, and I asked them if they liked skiing, and because I figured that was my hook, and they did, and one of them said, "Yeah, I grew up skiing in Stratton. My parents had a house there." And I'm like, "Stratton? Well, that's right near. That's part of my SU." I said, "Actually, you should come. We're the two of you. I got an elementary job in each building. Come on down, and you guys can be roommates and go skiing together." And anyways, they chuckle. But I think what I discovered is that a lot of the people who were there looking for work were focusing their attention with the Chittenden County schools. So a lot of the recent UVM grads were looking for more of a urban/suburban setting. So we've talked a little bit about expanding that search more down into Massachusetts and Connecticut, and really try to use not WCSU as the bait, but Vermont as the bait more generally, and to see if we can get people to come to Vermont and escape the Connecticut, dog eat dog world. So we're hoping
Bob.
we're hoping that will materialize. Well, I'm from Massachusetts, so you got me there on that one too. But anyways, just advertising as a place to come with outdoor stuff to do, and a great place to raise families, and see if we can even get some mid-career transplants to come to Vermont. So that's our next thinking, just because of the show on this one was really small. So
go, Bob. Not everybody's going to get to see it, but if you want to get a real laugh, you need to go to the Wyndham Central meeting last week. Was it? Yeah, week before last week. Anyways, you don't put Bob in the corner. We found out. Bob was performing. I think Bob was grabbing people or something, trying to not let them get by him. But
I did almost abduct a business manager. I was going to throw him in a bag and put him in the back of the car and bring him home with us. But yeah, I was trying to use humor, and we had a few cheesy catch things to try to get people's attention. We had some Wyndham Central highlighters and cheap sunglasses and stuff to give away as well, to try to get the brand out there. And the highlighters have a QR code on the back that scans to our hiring page where all the jobs are listed for the SU. So, but we told them that if they came to work, it would be the highlight of their career, and we gave them a highlighter. Those kinds of awful jokes. But yeah, I was kind of in my element there. It was fun.
Kate just covered her face. She was embarrassed.
Yeah, we'll bring her next time.
Okay, Laura, I don't know if your hand's up permanently or if you have something. Well, I don't know if she can. Okay. Approved contract. So, Bob, there's a couple contracts in here that are for long-term subs.
That's correct.
And that's for this year.
That is correct. Yep. So we're looking for authorization to have Rich sign off on those.
Okay, so I don't know what the little B's are, but we have Frida Rosner for 77 days as a .42, and we have an Alex Bocek. It doesn't say for how many days. February 5th till June 30th, and he's a .25.
It's Dover.
It's Dover. Both of them are Dover? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I guess they're in the position, but we just have to sign a contract. And I do recall Tracy talking to us about some long-term subs she needed, so I think we should be glad that you found people. Tracy, you can grab them too and not let them leave. I don't know if you have to put them in a bag though, in the back of the car. They may fight. So, can I get a motion to approve these 2 contracts?
So moved.
Okay, Dwight moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mike seconds it. Meredith, are you good with the motion in the second?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is any opposed? It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is, so we'll sign those 2 contracts. Okay, then, do we need to sign all the other ones, Bob, or was that just an FYI until they get signed and returned? You've offered them, right?
Remind me what the other ones are.
Anne Marie Exnoris, Carla Quadro, Tracy
Those are
Bartlett,
next year's, correct?
yeah,
Those are my teachers, yes.
Melissa
Yeah, those are next
Baum.
year's.
Well, this one, I think Valerie's here. Valerie Bills. These
Yeah.
don't have to be signed yet, right? They go to the staff.
Yeah, do you guys usually sign those after the staff? or before?
Yeah, usually they get sent out. The staff signs, you sign, and then you bring them back to us, and we sign.
All right.
So, do you want me to leave these by school, or do you want me to just bring them all back to you, or how do you want to deal with it?
Why don't you get them back to me and I'll talk to Michelle tomorrow.
Okay. So we'll figure out. I'll get you this tomorrow too. The 2 that we signed.
All right.
Okay, so then I got approved financials. So in your packet, there's 3 financials. There's AP for 929.38. There's a payable for credit cards of $4,326.02, and then there's payable for checks of $133,891.95. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve those 3 amounts?
I would like to make a motion to approve pay warrants number 32 and 35 for the amounts of $929.38, $133,000, $133,981.91.95, and $4,326.02.
Okay, do I have a second to Kate's motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Chad. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Any comments? Meredith, you have the numbers from the packet?
I do. Thank
Okay.
you.
There's no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Appears so the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The motion passes. Anybody else for new business? Laura, you all set? Chad?
I'm good, thank you.
Kate?
All good.
You guys?
What's that?
Mike, you good?
Good.
Sorry. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve. The March 4th and the March 18th. Did anybody have a problem with either one of them? Yes, go ahead.
On the March 18th, Meredith, under Principal's Report for Wardsboro, there are 3 active applicants. It says 5.
Which one is that, the 18th?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that all you
That's
have,
it.
Donna?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Anybody else have any corrections, comments, thoughts? Hearing none with the one correction, changing it from 5 to 3. Look at that, we just cut your applicants down almost in half.
Got 3 good ones.
we will approve, by consent, we'll approve the minutes of the March 4th and March 18th minutes. I have no correspondence. Does anybody have any correspondence? You do?
I have one more, actually. I'm sorry, on Wardsboro here. Meredith, the no applicants for, it says 3-4 position. It's for the 1-2 position.
So it's 3 applicants for the 1-2.
3 applicants for the 5-6 position.
Oh.
And no applicants for the long-term substitute position.
Okay. We're gonna get really confused. 3 for the 5-6.
Yeah, and then we have another.
None for the 1-2.
Correct.
Okay. Meredith, you good with that?
Yes, I got it.
Okay, thank you. Everybody still good with that? By consent, we will accept those changes. What are you smiling about, Galen? I'm confused too when we get too many numbers. Okay, consent agenda's done, no correspondence. Can I get a motion to move into executive session for, I think we have a couple contractual issues. I think 3, Bob?
I think just 2. One of them you'll need Tracy for.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the motion to go into executive session. Meredith, if you want, if that worked good for you last time, we'll just send you when we come out and any decisions.
That sounds great.
Okay, so could somebody make the first motion? And then once we get the motion made and seconded and voted on, then Donna and I are going to play musical computers for a minute. So,
I move.
oh, go ahead.
Are you ready for it?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Kate.
I move to find that the premature general public knowledge would clearly place the board at a substantial disadvantage.
Okay, do we have a second to that motion by Kate?
Second.
Okay, Dwight seconds the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. Kate, you want to do the second motion?
I move to go into executive session under 1 VSA 313A1 to discuss a contract.
Do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Second.
I'm going to give it to Chad.
Go for it.
Okay, he said I could go for it, Chad. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
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 Okay, so we're going to move into executive session. Okay, by unanimous consent, we're out of executive session at 8:16. We have a couple motions to make.
I would like to motion to approve the request from Tracy for an additional 7 paid benefit bereavement days for a staff member.
Okay, do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Chad. Is there any discussion? Okay, I think just so people know though, this is a long-term person that's worked for us for quite a while, and it's definitely a very sad and troubling situation. So this is not something we did lightly. So all those in favor, please signify so by saying aye.
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 Is there anybody opposed? Say nay. Okay, appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is, so that one passes. So Bob, you'll be able to take care of that and let that person know?
Yep.
Okay, is there anything else, folks?
I would like to make a motion to allow the superintendent and the board chair to negotiate on a contractual issue in the parameters that have been discussed
Or been set?
or been set.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Kate and a second by Dwight for the superintendent and the board chair to negotiate a contractual issue to the parameters that were set by the group. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody, any nays? It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. So on our next meetings, we have April 15th in Dover, and then we have April 22nd in Wardsboro for the budget presentation that's required by our Articles of Agreement. Bob, can you do me a favor and ask Donna to see if we can, because I think that's vacation week.
It is.
So I can't find my key to the building because it's not in my bag anymore. I'll check my bag again when we get back. But we're just going to need to, if we're going to do that as a Zoom meeting, we're just going to need to make sure that we have everything we need here to have the
Was your key? Was it a key, Rich, or was it a swipe badge?
No, I had a key for this building and had a swipe badge for Dover.
Well, I can get you added to this building with the Dover badge.
Okay,
Same badge.
could you do that for me?
Yep.
Okay, so is everybody gonna be able to make the 15th? Because we want to make sure we have Lori, and we'll try to get Marco here.
I'll be online.
You'll be online.
Yeah.
Are you around, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's in Dover, and then the 22nd. Who's around for the 22nd?
I can be there.
Okay, so we'll have at least a quorum. So good. Okay, so we got our next two meetings set. I think we're a little past 7:30. Sorry, Bob, but can we get that most important motion we make at the end of the night?
Motion to adjourn.
No.
I'll second.
Okay, Mike moved and Kate seconded it.
8:20.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.